Richard Schlesinger here with us to explain and then obfuscate, because yes, we will watch the piece.
I'll give you some
Richard,
answers.
we will watch the piece. Okay, so the central thing here, these two cases grow cold, as you mentioned, but then DNA is found, and due to advanced testing,
yeah, I mean,
they are
that's
able to establish.
That was really interesting, because when these girls were killed, they didn't know much about DNA, which you know, now is, you know, everybody assumes there's DNA evidence in every case. So they had to wait for the sort of the science to catch up, and they did some advanced testing on both girls, found a couple of hits on Claire Huff, but nothing on the first victim,
Now,
Barbara Nantes.
Now, finding those two hits, though, that takes it from, well, we have a suspect to an exponentially greater question, because obviously, is there a link between the two suspects?
Well, that's always been the problem with this case that my colleagues and I have thought about. They can't really link these two guys together, and they are completely opposite personalities. I mean, one is a violent rapist, you know, with a record, and the other guy is, by all accounts, sort of a nerdy scientist. So how did these two guys meet? And that becomes sort of a key part of this case.
It also, there is, I don't want to say character assassination, but an examination of character. There are the acknowledgments of some private pursuits that perhaps suggest a leaping off point to, well, this is what this person was like, but could they have violently murdered, sexually assaulted, and mutilated?
Question is, always in these cases, just because somebody goes to a strip club, and I'll be a little coy. I mean, I'm not going to tell you everything. There is more to his background.
By the way, there it is. There's
well,
the first coy
everything
out of Richard. There you go. Okay,
right.
that's fair.
I'll tell you as much as I can,
That's
Josh.
fair.
You'll whip me if I don't. But there is more to his background. Nothing, you know, nothing that says violence. I'll give you a hint. He had a nickname in the lab, and his nickname was Kinky. And that'll give you an idea of what we're talking about here. But again, you know, does that make him a murderer? And that's the question in so many of these cases. You know, I mean, if you go back and you scrutinize somebody's life, you know, you can find something that is not flattering or that's embarrassing. But, you know, does that a murderer make?
So whether a link then could be made between the two suspects, we do hear from the wife of the criminalist, not a mean bone in my body and such. What then did we know of Ronald Tatro? He's
a bad actor. I mean, he is a convicted rapist, violent. His DNA was pretty much all over Claire Huff. I mean, this was not a guy who you'd want to trifle with. You know, the interesting thing about the DNA in this case is, you know, everybody thinks, because they watch the crime shows, that DNA is the, you know, infallible proof. And it is most of the time, if it's collected properly, if it's handled properly.
It is until it's not.
Right. It is exactly. So, what's really fascinating about this case, and no, Josh, I'm not going to tell you what I'm talking about. But if you look at the DNA evidence in this case, let me just say that the way DNA was handled back in the day when these murders took place was very different. I guarantee you, the next time we meet after you see this, you'll want to talk to me about it.
Okay, fair. You know, in watching this, there are parallels to the Amanda Knox case, and again, the handling of DNA and what that can do to the clearest of links. I'm going to get you out of here on this quickly, Richard. What really happened?
Yes, thank you for asking, Josh.
Right, yes. Richard Schlesinger, ever obfuscated.
Nice try.
We appreciate it.
Yeah.
And you can watch Richard's full report, Blood in the Sand, tomorrow night on 48 Hours, a must-watch. That is 10, 9 Central, only on CBS.